It's a Golden Age comic book here. Suspense number 11. This is from 1951. It says it's based on a CBS radio television series. Never heard of it. Actually, this one was actually pretty good. It had some decent stories in here. In the dead of night. This guy goes to a cemetery at night. He runs into this mysterious woman, scares her. And he finds out she's the caretaker's daughter. She's telling him he's not allowed to be at the cemetery at night. But then they become kind of friends, and she tells him to come back tomorrow night. And she's always talking about death. She tells him she thinks people can come back from the grave. Then some killer starts killing people, leaves no marks on the bodies. Then her father, the old man, the caretaker of the cemetery, says it's the work of vampires. Well, this is kind of a unique tale because he tells them when he used to live in England, he was a grave digger. He saw one of his friends, co-workers, getting killed by this vampire. But in this story, the vampires don't drink your blood. They just get you in an embrace and squeeze the life out of you. It's kind of weird. And the daughter's like, she don't want to hear about it. It's almost, so the story's trying to suggest that maybe she's a vampire. And he comes back the next night. Her father is dead, like he's a victim of the vampire. He's going to tell the police, but she doesn't want him to. And the next night they're back in the cemetery again. And they start telling each other they're in love with each other or whatever. And he gets her in an embrace. But then the twist ending is he's the one who's the vampire. She winds up dead. The end. It's a bubblegum ad. Okay. Well, this one here's kind of weird. This one's kind of lousy, actually. It's a guy who lives in a haunted house. It's written by Stan Lee, though. That's what's kind of interesting of Marvel Comics fame. This is in 1951 in Atlas Comic, before Marvel. But this guy comes back to his house. He said he's been gone for a while. And he's wondering why nobody comes to visit him. So when he goes into town here to see what's going on, nobody recognizes him. He doesn't recognize anybody else. Then he hears these guys are telling a story that the house is haunted. And it's somebody new moved in. And then he tells his story. He got hurt in an accident in a factory. Some kind of molten steel or some shit. Hot liquid fell on him. And then you find out at the end of the story that the place is haunted. He's the one who's the ghost. That was kind of one of the weaker stories. How to fix any part of any car. Which is kind of weird because it's written by Stan Lee. He's supposed to be so great. Dog Watch Death. This is kind of weird because it's a little story on that story there. Glamorous Curves. But it's a haunted ship called the USS Galveston, but they spelled it wrong. They didn't spell Galveston correctly, like Galveston, Texas. They spelled it with the A at the end instead of an E. What you can do about pimples. This story here is not bad. The suitcase. This guy and his wife are like gangsters, and they were robbing a bank or something, wound up killing some guys. So he tells his wife they need to go hide out. then they find out in this little hotel that some guy owns a big castle, has got a bunch of money, but he doesn't believe in keeping the money in the bank. So they decide to go rob him. Here's where they're going up to the castle to rob the guy. They're making their way up to his creepy castle. There's a big rat. Then the guy's like freaking out because he knows they're probably there to rob him. And he's like, "Get away from my suitcase. I'll blow you up if you mess with my suitcase." So the gangster guy's like, "Screw you, man." He kills him right here because he didn't want any witnesses. Shoots him. And then he can't get the suitcase open, but they decide to leave because they want to get away. And they go out to some cabin out in the woods somewhere, trying to get as far away from the murder scene as possible. And then here he opens up the thing and realizes there's a time bomb. So him and his girlfriend get blown up. There was no money in there. That's the end of it. Gorgeous dresses. Harry's Hate. Oh yeah, this story here is pretty good also. This guy hates this woman, but he wants to marry her because she's got a lot of money. But she can't stand him either. But he's a chemist. He comes up with some kind of love potion. He tests it out at this bar. He gives the love potion to these two people, and they fall in love, so he knows that it works. So he slips it into her drink next. Next thing you know, she's falling in love with him. But he's not interested in her. So they wind up getting married here right away. And she tells him, I have $1 billion. And he tells her, "You need to sign the money over to me. Who can you trust more than your husband to take care of your money?" Then his formula only lasts a very short time. He has to keep experimenting with the formula. He wants to get one that lasts longer. Because like here she's telling him, "I'm not going to sign over the money because the formula's wearing off." So he gets a new formula that's stronger. He's working on it. He's about to slip it into her iced tea, and the dog knocks over the thing and breaks the loses all the formula. And he didn't know what to do here. But then he finds out the girl had found the formula earlier. She knew he was putting something in her drink, so she put it in his drink. But now it's a super strong formula that never wears off. So he's in love with her. So she kind of just makes him her slave, where he has to clean all of her house up all the time. And she goes off on nice vacations by herself. End of story. Pretty good. And this one's called Behind the Door. This one I really liked. This guy's like a drunken doctor. He's drinking a bunch of whiskey at work. So he's trying to get his act together even though he's drunk. He's supposed to do eye surgery on this guy right here. Then the nurse is like, "Doctor, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Shut up, I know what the hell I'm doing." And he screws up the surgery and makes the guy go blind. So he thinks he's going to be fired and go to jail. Then this guy comes around and says, "Oh, don't worry about it. The guy decided it wasn't your fault. He's not going to press charges." So he decides to celebrate with a drink. He wakes up in the middle of the night all drunk. He's called out to an emergency. But these two guys beat him up when he shows up. Knock some of his teeth loose. Bloody his mouth all up. And there's an all-night dentist open around the corner, so he goes in, crawling up the stairs. And the two thugs are up in the dentist office, so he's like, "What are you guys doing here?" And they're like, "Oh, this guy hired us." He'll explain. They strap him into the dentist chair. Then the blind guy comes out, says, "Oh, it's payback time. It's my turn to operate now." He's got a big-ass drill. He's blind, about to cut his mouth all up. So that was a good payback there. Spot reducer. Take off excess weight. Amazing values. Another one that famous Charles Atlas had. "Hey, skinny, your ribs are showing." That's kind of funny though. In modern age, some girls like skinny guys. Times have changed. Prizes are for you. What's your junk? Anyway, that's Suspense number 11. It's pretty good, actually, pretty well written. The funny thing is the Stan Lee comic, the story he wrote was the worst one.